from WSAV, this is News 3 on your side at 11.
News 3 continues to follow this developing story. Roadways shut down, a police officer and a suspect taken to the hospital. Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday, March 6th. I'm Tina Tyus-Shaw. Russ is off this evening. Thank you for joining us. We begin with team coverage. What is believed to have started as a police chase shutting down roads, including Interstate 16. That stretch of 16 between Chatham Parkway and 37th Street is expected to stay closed for much of the night. There are also reports of a police officer injured. Let's get out to the scene for the very latest. Our team coverage begins with News 3's Andrew Davis. Andrew?
Well, Tina, I'll tell you, this is a very fluid situation out here still. Investigators have been out since just before 7 o'clock tonight. They are still here digging through the evidence, checking on everything they can. I can tell you that there are 2 police cars that are in the wooded area right now. It's a situation that definitely is a lot less chaotic than it was earlier this evening, though. You can see those cars, the window in the back of the one police car apparently busted out in some form. We do know right now that there was an officer and a suspect taken to the hospital. News 3 has confirmed that through their police sources. What we can tell you also right now is that there were many officers out here. We understood that many of them had bulletproof vests on also. So there's the possibility that there were gunshots fired while we were here. Everything that's going on right now, though, is limited in detail. The police spokesperson says, we can't tell you everything until we can tell you everything. They said there is so much to this investigation right now. There are so many details to play with that they want to make sure that they get it right before they start releasing anything to the public. If you come back right now, you can see markers down on the ground. Those potentially are where bullets hit or bullets. That's usually what happens when you see those markers on the ground. Their number's up to 20, so we're not exactly sure exactly how many may have happened or what numbers they may be. But we do know right now that we have a suspect and an officer who were taken to the hospital. We showed you that video of the ambulance earlier to try to show you exactly what went on. The officer, from what we've understood, will be okay. The suspect we have not gotten details on. But this is a situation that ended here, but it started in a completely different place. We continue our team coverage with News 3's Meredith Lay from 42nd and Burroughs Street.
Well, Andrew, we arrived here on scene at 42nd and Burroughs a little after 6:45, and there wasn't even any crime scene tape up yet. But the silver Malibu was in the background, and as you can see, it's being loaded up onto a tow truck now. We're told that possibly this car had something to do with it, but witnesses have been very chatty with us, saying that they saw 2 men getting out of this vehicle. Now, we were told by police that they don't know anything as of right now. However, more details will be coming in soon. Stay with News 3. We'll have that for you coming up.
All right, thank you, Meredith and Andrew, for your information. And as Andrew mentioned, we're told that the officer will be okay, so that is certainly great news to hear. As more details of this story unfold, you can expect to see it first on WSAV.com. Our own Will Nunley has been tracking this story there all evening long. Our team coverage continues now from the newsroom with Will.
And Tina, we're working to build you a collection of video from all of these breaking news scenes tonight. We have everything displayed there on our homepage at WSAV.com, including some of the first reports from the scene and several different camera angles as we watched this major story unfold tonight. And as you've heard, this story is far from over. WSAV.com will be your instant resource to understanding new details about this breaking news all evening long and into the morning. Within moments of the first calls for help tonight, we were able to send our WSAV.com members a text message alerting them to avoid the interstate. That can be helpful information with dangerous situations like this. To subscribe to these free text alerts and emails, look for the big red box on the homepage of WSAV.com. Live in the newsroom, Will Nunley, WSAV News 3.
And turning now to a follow-up tonight, people in one East Side Savannah neighborhood are back in their homes after a rushed evacuation this afternoon due to a gas line break. Now, emergency officials responded to the scene around 3:30 this afternoon. It happened in the area of Lehigh and Ferguson Avenues. The Atlanta Gas Light Company tells us a construction crew in the area was working on a project when a worker ruptured a 4-inch gas line. Now, a 2-block radius near that area was evacuated as a precaution. No injuries reported. AGL crews evaluated the scene and people were allowed to return home just before 9 tonight. Meanwhile, officials are still trying to figure out what led to a man's death in the Savannah River today. It happened near the tugboat dock on Hutchinson Island. Now, the call for help was placed around 9:30 this morning. It is believed the man was working on a boat or on a dock. His name has not yet been released. We will certainly bring you more information as it becomes available. A horrific scene 2 weeks ago. A husband and a wife killed, a child left without parents after an accident on Interstate 516. It is video many of us will never forget, and a scene police are still focused on. Their idea, finding ways to stop accidents and keep people alive. News 3's Andrew Davis has the story.
Before I even got out of the car, we knew it was just horrible.
Captain Philip Riley was on 516 2 weeks ago at what he calls one of the worst accidents in his 35 years of police work.
It's very depressing that we keep continuing to have to go to this same area and then explain to families what has occurred.
Now, the area Riley is talking about, though, is I-516 from Veterans Parkway to Montgomery Street. Seemingly every month, police are there, dealing with an overturned car, mangled truck, or even loose circus animals. The numbers are staggering. In the last 14 months, 129 accidents and 5 deaths. As West Chatham Precinct Commander, Captain Riley has seen too many crashes along that stretch of road, so he crunched the numbers himself and has Savannah Chatham Police doing a safety audit to see how to keep drivers protected and speeds down.
We don't believe necessarily that just changing the speed limit is going to stop what is happening. We think it's just that people are not aware of what's ahead. The thrill of going around a curve at a high rate of speed doesn't compare to the tragedy that you can cause.
Tragedy that's obvious just by looking on the side of the road. The same roadside that can be a problem for officers trying to keep drivers in line.
It's very hard for us to find a safe place to pull people over where we're not creating a more dangerous situation by being there. When we turn those blue lights on, a lot of times we have no control over where the people decide to stop.
Riley believes this may be a place for warning lights, traffic calming devices, or signs, anything to make drivers less anxious, more aware, and most importantly, making them
slow down.
So how quickly can something go wrong? Well, working for you, here's what Andrew found. The distance between the merged I-516 and Veterans Parkway to the Liberty Parkway overpass is approximately 990 feet. At 65 miles per hour, a vehicle would travel that in about 10 seconds. Moving on now, windy and chilly weather dominating much of the day today. Well, what's in store for the next 24 hours? Here's Storm Team 3 Chief Meteorologist Chris Allred with your first forecast. Chris?
All right, Tina. Well, tonight in the coastal empire and low country, there is definitely a chill in the air. We've dropped to the upper 30s to the lower 40s. Right now in Savannah, it's 41, and it's already down to 37 in Statesboro. Also, our winds are much lighter. Now, today we had wind gusts all the way up to 50 miles per hour, but now sustained winds at around 5 to 10. And with these lighter winds, our temperatures will drop even more as the night goes on. So with the fast cast from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., inland areas you'll start off the day in the lower to mid 30s. At the coast, you'll begin at around 40. Now, throughout the day on Thursday, mostly sunny skies. That's what we will have. And it will be a milder afternoon. Highs are going to reach the lower 60s. Now, even though that is milder, it's still running below average for this time of year. Coming up with your weather headlines, we are tracking for the next 7 days a gradual warming trend. That is good news to hear. And finally, tonight's weather she wrote, summer will be here before you know it, and so will some super-sized mosquitoes. All the details in a few minutes. Tina, back to you.
All right, Chris, thank you. Well, while it may be just a little bit too soon to start thinking about weather on St. Patrick's Day, businesses are already in the planning stages to get the best bang for their buck over the holiday weekend. Today, business owners met with the city for some final planning. WSAV News 3's Meredith Lay was there, and she has more in our community report.
With the big day just a little over a week away, Savannah business owners say there's a lot they need to know to ensure smooth sailing and happy customers, all while staying on the right side of the law.
We came as a business owners to be sure that we knew the rules so that we could abide by them and so that we could make certain that guests from out of town were not caught off guard by the rules and regulations that will be enforced.
And with alcohol wristbands being reintroduced this year, there's a lot more of them.
This does not in any way, shape, or form alleviate those serving alcohol on their premises from checking for underage drinking.
But wristbands are just the beginning. This year, the city is cracking down on illegal parking.
The city's always had a look the other way policy, and we understand that this year they're going to ticket anybody that's on a yellow line and tow any car that impedes any traffic flow, and that seems a little bit excessive.
Then there are the road closures from MLK to East Broad, Broughton to Drayton. While many agree on the side of safety, some say it really creates a mess.
It seemed last year that it took a long time for the crosstown traffic to open up after the parade had passed. The barricades stayed up until very late in the afternoon.
But overall, the boom in business far outweighs all the rules of the weekend. Meredith Lay, WSAV News 3.
To see a full list of road closures and festival rules, you can log on to our website, wsav.com. And tonight's Getting Us Back to Work report, job seekers had high hopes of knocking their interview out of the ballpark tonight. At a job fair sponsored by the Savannah Sand Gnats, jump hunters got a chance to score positions as ushers, concession stand managers, bartenders, and even security. This is the time of year, you know, when the Sand Gnats start to grow. That is because of America's favorite pastime. The Sand Gnats season opener is scheduled for April 4th. Well, if you're planning to travel by air next month, you'll be able to bring more items on the plane than you could before. The details in less than a minute. First, though, a look at tonight's winning lottery numbers. In your health report tonight, a new and extremely dangerous superbug is showing up at hospitals nationwide and other healthcare facilities. And it is prompting some strong and alarming language from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. 4% of short-stay hospitals and 18% of long-term acute care facilities have reported problems in 42 states. Now, these outbreaks are called CRE infections because they're resistant to one of the most potent antibiotics available. So far, the outbreaks have been contained to hospitals and nursing homes, primarily infecting people with weak immune systems.
It's resistant to virtually all antibiotics. So when an individual gets this microbe and it invades the blood or invades tissue, curing them becomes very difficult.
Well, the CDC says these bacteria are deadly with a fatality rate approaching 50%. And right now, the challenge is to keep the bacteria from reaching the general population. But with not promising any treatment on the horizon, well, health officials warn that what lies ahead is uncertain. Tonight, the lights are out for nearly 200,000 people up and down the mid-Atlantic thanks to a lingering winter storm. The extent of that deadly winter storm led to more than 2,000 flights cancellations and delays stretching from the East Coast to Chicago. Now, Virginia appeared to take the biggest punch from this storm, and voluntary evacuations today along the New Jersey and New York shores torn apart by Hurricane Sandy.
Everybody on the shore is anxious right now. The water comes up, we're all going to take another pounding.
Well, meteorologists say that this is a perfect example of why the U.S. needs a better supercomputer for forecasting like the Europeans have. The European model predicted more of a rain event. The U.S. model predicted more snow.
Now, Storm Team 3 weather, powered by Hargrade Live Titan Radar.
Well, it's only the first week of March, and so far we have seen highs range from the 40s all the way to the 70s. Over the last 5 days, Sunday, high of 47. We topped out 70 yesterday. Just extremes, kind of going back and forth. And we're going to see some of that finally start to come to an end. With your weather headlines for tomorrow, it will be a milder day, but it will still run a little bit below average. In the 7-day forecast, it will gradually warm up each day, finally getting back to where we should be this time of year. So with your fastcasters, we have from 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. It's a cold start in the morning. Inland areas dropping down to the lower to mid 30s. At the coast, you'll start off at around 40. Now, all day Thursday, we'll have a lot of sunshine and a little bit milder of an afternoon. Highs are going to reach the lower 60s. Well, tonight on our live Hargrade Titan radar, we are storm free. The winds have finally started to die down and it's leading to a cool night. But earlier today, we had some strong winds all the way up to 50 miles per hour. Well, here's the reason why. Last night's storm system just offshore over the Atlantic, high pressure builds in right behind it. When the two are back to back and both of them are pretty strong, it's going to give you some gusty winds out of the north. And that ushered in the much colder air today, making it kind of brutal for us here in the coastal empire and low country. Well, tonight, high pressure is regaining control. It's going to take control for the next few days, giving us quiet conditions lighter winds, some cool nights, but afternoons not bad at all. So tomorrow with mostly sunny skies, winds will be out of the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. We will see highs reach the mid to upper 50s right at the coast, but farther inland, highs will top out in the lower 60s. Average high is 69, so we are still running a little bit below average. Now for the marine forecast tomorrow, visibility is fine. Winds are going to be out of the north at around 15 to 25 knots. Look for waves at around 2 to 3 feet. So your 3-day forecast. We will have sunshine on both Friday and Saturday. Highs returning to the upper 60s by Saturday and even warmer on Sunday, high of around 70. Over the weekend, the time will change. We will spring forward 1 hour, and looking ahead to next week, highs will stay in the lower to mid 70s. So those extremes, it looks as though we are taking a break for a little while. Well, before you know it, summer is going to be here, and scientists are already trying to prepare us. Take a look at that big mosquito right there on the left. It's a supersized mosquito, and scientists say we will see a lot of them over the summer, and they can bite through clothes. Check it all out, WSAV.com, my blog, Weather She Wrote. Just makes me itch just thinking about it.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was scratching. Don't want to see any mosquitoes.
Yeah, me either.
All right, want better weather though.
And we will get it.
Okay. Thanks so much, Chris. When News 3 on your side continues, another chilling tale of identity theft. The details up next in your Consumer Alert. Stay with us. In tonight's Consumer Alert, a case that illustrates an important point. Identity theft can happen anywhere, but as one victim found, it can happen even in places where you would most expect your personal information to be safe.
When I arrived, a woman behind the desk asked me for my social security number, and my generation gives that freely because we were always taught to do that, especially in a safe place like a hospital.
Beverly Tennern was in a hospital emergency room being treated for injuries resulting from a car accident.
Little did I know that in 2 months I would find out that she was giving my social security number along with many others to people in a bad ring of identity theft.
The number of actual victims that were involved in the scam were actually 332 victims. Those are the ones that inspectors were able to identify 100% and prove the fact that their identity had been compromised.
Beverly realized she was a victim when her husband tried to access her bank account.
And they told him that my account had been compromised.
The ID thieves began withdrawing money using her identity through 11 separate accounts they had created.
The dollar loss was basically about $631,000.
From the hundreds of victims, including Beverly.
There's a lot of people that work very hard for their money and do it in an honest way. And it's very hard when it's taken away from you that way.
Well, Beverly was one of the lucky ones. She got her money back. Not all victims do. Postal inspectors say the hospital employee was selling patients' information in the ID theft ring and was one of 5 people arrested in the scheme. News 3 is back in a few minutes. Stay with us. All right, we have a final update on that developing story in West Chatham County. It's believed to have started as a police chase, shutting down roads, including Interstate 16. We check in again now with News 3's Andrew Davis. He's live along Chatham Parkway. Andrew, what's the...
Well, Tina, we promised you new information. That's exactly what I have here now. Sources are telling me, we've told you all night that there was an officer injured and a suspect injured. I have sources that are now telling me officially that both the officer and the suspect were shot during this apparent chase and potential shootout that happened in various spots, including 42nd and Burroughs. So we do know from what I've been told, the officer will be okay. I have no word on the suspect. As for I-16 West, officers are telling me here that this should be open by about midnight, that I-16 West should be open. Their investigation is still continuing right now. You can see we were talking to you before about those markers on the ground. Those are apparently gunshots. There were bulletproof vests on various officers during this situation. We've got a lot more coming up for you on WSAV.com. And of course, tomorrow morning on Coastal Sunrise with hopefully the latest, as police will finally give us some more information about the officer's name, what happened, and what exactly the end of this chase ended up. Tina, we've got a lot more for you coming up, so stick with us, of course, all night and into the morning.
Right, Andrew, thank you. And also a News 3 follow-up to tell you about. We just learned that the man found dead in the Savannah River this morning was a tugboat worker. Savannah Chatham Metro Police say the victim is 20-year-old Brian Charles Parker of Pooler. An autopsy has been scheduled. No word yet on the official cause of death. And before we say goodnight, one last look at the weather, Chris.
All right, well, tomorrow we will have mostly sunny skies. It will be a milder day as highs reach the lower 60s, and the winds will be much lighter too. Highs should be close to 70 by the weekend.
All right, that is our time, everybody. Thanks for making WSAV your choice for news. And our news, of course, continues on WSAV.com and tomorrow morning on Coastal Sunrise.
All right, have a great night.
Watch yourself, Savannah!